Imagine, if you will, a $50,000 digital painting. For 5 years, its unforgeable public blockchain certificate of authenticity has proven ownership beyond any reasonable doubt. It feels incredibly solid, right?
Now picture this. In just 18 months, a refrigerator-sized machine could mathematically prove identical cryptographic ownership to everyone, simultaneously. And this isn't science fiction. This is according to a March 2026 Google research paper.
So, that number 18? It's a countdown. The entire NFT market, the JPEGs, gaming assets, tokenized real estate, even digital identity systems, is built on cryptography that might not survive the decade. Honestly, it's a story nobody really wants to tell you.
Are your digital assets truly safe for the next 10 years? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into exactly how quantum computers threaten NFT cryptography. We'll check on platform readiness and outline the precise steps you need to take to protect the assets you plan on keeping. Because make no mistake, the timeline has shifted. Section 1. How NFT ownership actually works. To really understand this threat, we first have to understand the asset itself. You see, an NFT is not the JPEG. It's actually a blockchain ownership record stating that a specific token inside a smart contract is legally owned by a specific wallet address.
This ownership is protected by something called ECDSA. That stands for the Elliptic Curve Digital Signature Algorithm, which incorporates P2PK and SHA-256 protocols. Now think of it this way. Every wallet has a private key that only you see, and a public key derived through a very complex mathematical one-way function.
Classical computers absolutely cannot reverse this one-way math to figure out your hidden private key from your visible public key. It's mathematically impossible for them. But here's the catch. Quantum computers, they don't play by classical rules.
Which brings us to Section 2, Why Quantum Breaks the Lock. Way back in 1994, a mathematician named Peter Shor published an algorithm capable of solving what's known as the elliptic curve discrete logarithm problem. Shor's algorithm literally alters the entire underlying paradigm of cryptographic security.
Fast forward to that March 2026 Google paper we mentioned. It showed that breaking elliptic curve cryptography requires roughly 20 times fewer qubits than anyone previously estimated. This drastically accelerates the timeline, putting the threat definitively inside the planning horizon of every major infrastructure team out there.
And here is where it gets really chilling. Adversaries are actively archiving permanently visible public keys today so they can derive the private keys tomorrow. Cybersecurity experts call this the harvest now, decrypt later attack. Essentially, the lock is still strong right now, but the lockpick, it's already in the mail.
Moving on to Section 3, the smart contract problem. There's a secondary and arguably way more severe threat layer existing right inside the smart contracts themselves. You see, smart contracts governing NFTs often contain administrator addresses. If those admin private keys get exposed, it could literally grant an attacker full control of an entire collection.
The implications here are absolutely catastrophic. An attacker could run Shor's algorithm, expose the key, and then just mint millions of tokens, drain royalties, and completely rewrite the fundamental rules for blue-chip NFTs, blockchain games, and tokenized real estate completely from the inside out. So, Section 4. Which platforms are actually doing something about this? Well, migration strategies vary pretty widely across the space. Ethereum is planning a massive multi-year migration to lattice cryptography and lattice-based signatures, while Solana is currently actively experimenting with Winternitz vaults.
If we look closer, platforms like Circle's Arc, QRL, and Naoris actually have native post-quantum security built right into their architecture from the get-go. Conversely, and this is a bit concerning, major marketplaces like OpenSea, Blur, and Magic Eden have zero public roadmap for this. That basically leaves users totally unprotected beyond whatever base layer network upgrades happen.
Section 5. What smart NFT owners are doing today. Look, mitigating this risk requires strict wallet hygiene right now, not tomorrow. The first two principles you need to know. First, keep your long-term NFTs in addresses that have never signed an outgoing transaction. And second, just go ahead and assume your active wallet is already compromised.
Moving down the list, the third principle is to segregate your holdings into different wallets. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Fourth, you really need to pay close attention to your underlying chain's quantum roadmap. And finally, the fifth principle. Seriously consider acquiring some crypto-native insurance right now while the premiums are still relatively cheap.
All of this basically necessitates a standard operational security pattern. You've got to separate your most valuable assets into a cold vault wallet, one that has literally never signed anything, and keep that totally distinct from an expendable hot wallet that you use for active trading. Let's wrap up with Section 6, the honest timeline. Understanding the true timeline of this threat is absolutely critical. Look, nobody credible actually believes quantum computers will fully break ECDSA by 2026. However, because of that harvest now, decrypt later attack we talked about, the window to migrate your assets is happening right now. Consider this. Performing a full network upgrade to protect against this could require at least 76 days of dedicated on-chain effort. And that's the best-case scenario. It could easily turn into months of contentious governance debates, kind of like what we've seen with BIP 361 integrations. Time is simply a resource these networks no longer have in abundance.
So where will your assets be in 10 years? Because quantum decryption is not just some far-off future risk, it is a present-tense planning problem. Where your assets sit today directly determines their security a decade from now. Drop a comment below detailing your own wallet hygiene strategy. We'd love to hear it. And join us for our next explainer, where we're going to analyze Satoshi Nakamoto's 1 million Bitcoin and break down exactly why it represents the most quantum vulnerable wallet on Earth. See you then.